Hey guys, Stephen McCaugherty here with Heavy.com. Today I had the chance to speak with Hunter Colvin. He's a 3-0 MMA fighter, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he's currently signed with the Legacy Fighting Alliance. He had a big win on Friday, March 12th. He submitted Obinuan Ikbona in the first round of their fight. So he's got 3 first-round finishes, 2 by TKO, one by submission. He's a hot prospect right now in MMA. He's looking to fight a few more times this year, then eventually he wants to get into the UFC. If you want to check out Hunter on social media, he's on Instagram at Colvin335, or you can find him on Facebook. Just type in his name, Hunter Colvin. Make sure you like this video. That'd be great. And maybe subscribe. That'd be even better. Enjoy the interview. First question for you, man. How does it feel to get that big win? It was your first fight in, over a year at that point. So how are you feeling?
Feels great, man. I mean, first time with LFA, the pressure's on, big fight scenario, but, trained hard and performed well, and I'm super happy with the outcome.
Nice. And now, guys, if you're watching this and you haven't seen Hunter's fight, you can watch it on Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass. All you have to do is look up LFA 101 or just search Hunter's name in the search bar. So first of all, why was this your first fight since the pandemic? Was it just hard to find fights? I know you were busy grappling. What was the main reason why you weren't in the cage?
Yeah, it was kind of twofold. It was hard to get fights around here with the lockdown and the pandemic, and then to be honest with you, like jiu-jitsu kind of revved up with short notice matches and like not having a crowd. I actually had my busiest year with jiu-jitsu last year, even through the pandemic. So that kind of kept me out of the MMA world.
Yeah. Did you find though, because you were very active grappling, you competed in shows like Submission Underground. If you guys want to watch that, it's also on UFC Fight Pass. Do you think that helped? First of all, do you believe in ring rust? And do you think that helped with your ring rust if you do believe in it?
Yeah, 100%. I believe in ring rust. I believe in momentum and just staying busy. Even if it's not MMA, it's still a match. With lights and like with pressure and all that stuff. And I think it's good to get those reps and have those reps leading into this big fight.
So, did you feel much ring rust in the fight?
No, and I honestly think it was just because of the jiu-jitsu. I got him to the ground pretty quick. So, like, in all honesty, it was a lot like a jiu-jitsu match. Once we were down there, felt kind of just like what I've been doing.
Now, in that fight, so you were the biggest favorite on the card, right? You were a minus 500 favorite. Did the fight go pretty much how you thought it would? Like, he's a big, powerful guy. He did throw a couple really big shots at you. You were able to get it to the ground. Once you got to the ground, you started your submission onslaught. I think you went for like a heel hook, a Kimura, like some sort of arm bar. Like, were you, is that kind of how you were expecting it to go?
In all honesty, I thought I was going to be able to get him to the ground a little bit easier off the double leg attempts. I was in on a deep double against the cage at one point in time and still couldn't get him to the ground just because of his size and athleticism. And that's kind of where I started mixing it up and doing like what I call new age jiu-jitsu, throwing like into the leg lock, like Ryan Hall-esque style stuff. And like, that's where I feel like what I can bring to the table that a lot of these guys haven't seen.
Okay. Now, I heard in another interview, so you signed a 3-fight contract with LFA?
Correct.
Okay. So you got 2 left. So kind of what's your plan right now? What are you looking to do, or how often are you looking to fight this year?
I'm still pretty busy with the jiu-jitsu stuff. I'm doing Pans next month, and then I'm going to Mexico to do Eddie Bravo's tournament in June. So we're looking at fighting again in July. I'll fight again in July and then finish the last fight of the contract sometime around the fall. That'll put me about 5-0, and then I want to really try to make a run at the Dana White's Contender Series next year.
Okay, so that's your plan. Hey, so that's what I was going to ask you this a little later, but I asked you now. So kind of, you're obviously very accomplished in BJJ. You're looking at MMA now, so you're essentially you're still competing in BJJ, but you're wanting to go all in on MMA. You're aiming for the UFC. It sounds like. Can you kind of, I guess, lay out your goals? I guess your plans for this MMA career that you have.
Yeah, I mean, just like everybody, just try to get into the UFC. I think it's easier now than ever with the Contender Series. Like you have like a straight path laid out for you on how to get in there, and I think with 5-0 and my jiu-jitsu record after this contract with LFA is finished, I think I'll have a pretty good argument to, at least get a shot. And then at that point, it's just all based on performance.
And because of your extensive competition in BJJ, do you, because 5-0, that's a great, obviously undefeated record. 5-0, it's still fairly new in as a professional mixed martial artist. First of all, how many amateur fights did you have?
Just one.
Just one. Okay, so but you're confident though. Your skills, they speak for themselves. Obviously, you're comfortable 5-0, getting your shot at the UFC, going in. If you win that fight on the Contender Series, you get the contract. You be 6-0 going into the UFC. You're happy with that? Hey, that's enough experience for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think from what I've been, feeling with people, like my jujitsu, I feel like is already at UFC level. It's just getting everything else cleaned up, getting the striking cleaned up, and just used to being actually in the cage. And I think by the time I'm 6-0, I'll be there. I mean, you have people that like Lovato who won the Bellator title with only 9 fights. So I feel like the jiu-jitsu experience definitely can translate to MMA.
Okay. Um, Now you're training out of Triton Fight Center, right in Tulsa, and with
Correct.
Brothers Jiu Jitsu as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, have you been moving around for your fights too, or do you specifically train with those guys there? Is there other MMA fighters that you work with that are maybe the average fan may know, or is this more of a smaller gym?
Out here, it's really just only me. Since this was a bigger fight, I actually went up to Colorado with Elevation Fight Team for a while, and that's how I'm getting those reps with the bigger people, more established MMA fighters. But around here, I would say the striking's not as good, so I can really the jujitsu is great. I can work my jujitsu and stuff, but when it really comes time to it, I usually have to travel around to get the striking training that I need.
Are you planning on going back to Elevation? Is that the idea? Go back and forth?
Yeah, I'm planning on doing my camps from out of there from now on.
Was there someone specific that you worked there, like another, maybe possibly, I'm assuming like a UFC fighter, somebody that really helped you sharpen your skills, get you ready for the fight on Friday?
Just all of them. I mean, you got guys like Corey Sanhagen and Neil Magny and Justin Gaethje that are in the room with you, and just being around those guys, and watching them from afar, and getting sparring rounds in with them too. But you definitely pick up a lot of knowledge just on how they handle themselves as martial artists, and it's just a real cool experience. The one of the jiu-jitsu coaches for that team, Valor, he's actually from Tulsa like me, so that's kind of how I made the connection and ended up out there. Got sidetracked for a while, but sidetracked in a good way, allowed me time to develop that skill and stuff. But you can do jiu-jitsu later in life. You have people like Cyborg who are 40 and still competing at the highest level in jiu-jitsu, but MMA is a much shorter window. So I figured I need to chase this down now while I can, and then BJJ will always be there later on in life.
So what's your goals? I guess your macro goals for MMA. What are you looking at? Obviously, we talked about how you want to get to the UFC. I'm assuming it doesn't stop there. You're looking to win a championship. But can you just talk to me about your goals?
Yeah, I just want to take a run at it as hard as I can. I want to keep my undefeated record. I want to obviously win that UFC title and prove my worth to everybody, and jiu-jitsu's worth to everybody, because I feel like jiu-jitsu is kind of neglected sometimes. There's not too many representatives of jiu-jitsu in the sport anymore like it was when it first started. And have a good run, have a good career, and then later on in life open up my own school and start teaching.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so with you bring up obviously an awesome point with jiu-jitsu, especially when you watch, say, championship fights in the UFC, you don't see Brazilian jiu-jitsu taking over as much anymore. Does that just speak to the high level of fighters now and the ability to defend and keep the fight standing, or obviously defend submission, things like that?
Yeah, and I think just people have caught on to it. If you come at with the traditional style jiu-jitsu, like Adolfo Vera and stuff, the people that are at the high level right now, I feel like guys are kind of used to it and they're training it, and it's a little bit tougher to make it happen now. But if you start doing the stuff you see in high level competitions of jiu-jitsu now, like the leg entanglements and the different kinds of Kimura traps and all that stuff that you might see with Ryan Hall, I think that's still going to be effective, because with my last fight I threw the guy in a position called single leg X, and I could tell he really had never been in it before, and I feel like that's the niche that I can offer before everyone starts catching on to that, and then the game evolves even more.
Interesting. Yeah. Is there a fighter, one specific fighter maybe that's maybe in the UFC that you kind of draw inspiration from, in terms of you kind of want to follow their career trajectory? You look at them like man, like if I could mirror my career like them, obviously no career is the same and you're your own individual, but like, hey, like this guy did it this way or this female did it this way. I'd love to do it like that.
Yeah, I like real martial artists, man. Like I like Khabib and I like, Wonderboy Thompson, like the guys that are like, genuinely nice guys. I don't like get caught up in the trash talk of it all and like just enjoying like being a martial artist that represents myself out there.
Okay. Last question for you. So obviously you sound like a UFC fan, like an MMA fan. Do you watch fights regularly?
Oh yeah, every single fight.
Okay. Do you make predictions? I got to UFC 260. Not Saturday, but the next one. Who are you looking at? Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou. Who do you got for that?
Man, I wish Stipe would retire, to be honest with you. Like I love Stipe. I think he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. It's just I think it's becoming more and more Francis's time, and like Stipe's kind of getting older and older. He's done it once before, so Stipe could do it. But if I had to take a prediction, I'd probably say Francis is going to get it.
By knockout?
Yeah, by knockout. If he doesn't knock him out, then Stipe's just going to wrestle him until a decision.
Yeah, we'll kind of see what we saw last time. Okay, man. Well, hey, that's all I had for you. Thanks so much, Hunter. Where can people find you? What's your social media? I think you're competing. Sounds like next month. Is that what you said?
Yeah, guys can watch me at Nogi Pans. It'll be on Flow Grappling. But if anybody wants to, see any of my content, it's Colvin335, my last name, on Instagram, or then Hunter Colvin on Facebook. That's where I put all my stuff, and that's where you can find me.
Great, perfect. Well, hey, thanks a lot for your time, Hunter. Good luck in the competition, and can't wait to see your next fight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Have a great weekend.